we get Ronnie and Todd? Your Honor, this is the state versus Ronnie LeGrand Todd Jr. On true build indictment 2023 GS 22-128 murder. 2023 GS 22-129 murder. 2023 GS 22-130 possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. 2023 GS 22-131 possession of a weapon by a prohibited person. Your Honor, he is represented by Ron Hazard, who is the Chief Public Defender of the 15th Circuit. The state is represented by both myself, Alicia Richardson, Deputy Solicitor in Georgetown, and Scott Hickson, the Chief Deputy Solicitor for the Circuit. Your Honor, there are multiple family and friends of the two victims who are present, several of which want to address the court at the appropriate time. We are here on Mr. Todd's motion for bond and a motion to compel discovery. As far as the motion to compel discovery, Your Honor, there were multiple items that were made available for review at the solicitor's office. If copies not provided, that the public defender could come review them at our office. We have agreed for a stipulation order that will protect some of the personal identifying information and secondary disclosure of that information, because obviously some of it contains sensitive information. It's my understanding Mr. Hazard is willing to sign that, and the state will provide what has been requested.
Okay. Is that correct, Mr. Hazard?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right.
Your Honor, and then as to the issue of bond, the state is requesting that you deny bond, as well as the family members are also requesting that. If you'd like, I can give you a presentation of the facts.
I need a presentation of the facts, if you would, and any prior record you have, please.
Your Honor, this occurred on the night of July 20th, 2022 to the early morning hours of July 21st, 2022 here in Georgetown County. The 911 call came in just after midnight on the 21st. The call was made by a neighbor who had a 9-year-old child in the background. Your Honor, the allegations are two victims, Emily Riccitelli and John Ashley Altman, both died of gunshot wounds on the morning of July 21st at John Ashley Altman's home. A witness in the home was John Ashley Altman's 9-year-old child. That child heard the shots, heard a bit of an altercation. After it was over, went out to find his father deceased in a large pool of blood, as well as Miss Riccitelli clinging to life. Child ran next door and called 911. Ronnie Todd and the victim Emily Riccitelli had been involved in a romantic relationship that had ended. John Ashley Altman and Ronnie Todd had been friends for a significant period of time, had been to each other's house, know each other's family. The evidence would show that Mr. Todd made some threats on Facebook and to other individuals regarding his concerns with Miss Riccitelli and Ashley, that went by Ashley Altman dating, to the point that someone went and warned Ashley that he had made those threats. Mr. Todd entered the home that night through a back sliding glass door. The child recognized Mr. Todd's voice because they had a long-standing relationship with the family, heard the shots and screams, and called 911. So Mr. Todd was identified early on, immediately when the 911 call was made. When officers responded to his house, and again this is in the middle of the night, the hood was still warm on his car. He barricaded himself in the house, would not come out initially. Was on the phone with one of the deputies, made some what was viewed as suicidal threats. They began negotiating with him and brought his family out. He eventually surrendered peacefully. Multiple firearms were recovered from his home. He made some excited utterances to the sheriff. Our sheriff, Carter Weaver, is here, as well as Captain Ronnie in the back. He made some excited utterances, implicating himself and indicated where the firearm was. Officers searched in that area and were unable to locate the firearm. Your Honor, this defendant, it's the state's position that this defendant is an unreasonable risk to the community if he were released on bond. He has a 20-plus year history of arrests and convictions. Many of them are misdemeanors, but also some assaults. He's had civil restraining orders from a romantic partner, or had a civil restraining order from a romantic partner in the past, and has weapon possession charges. Many of his priors would give indication that he has an issue with alcohol. And like I said, for 20 plus years. Your Honor, most concerning is the fact that he was on probation at the time that this occurred. He was placed on probation a little over a year before this crime. On June 23rd, 2021, he pled guilty to unlawful carrying of a pistol and possession of a pistol by a prohibited person, or a stolen pistol. He received a 5-year suspended sentence on the unlawful possession charge, and a 1 year, which was the maximum suspended sentence on the unlawful carry, suspended to 5 years probation. So he was on probation at the time this occurred, and as I said, multiple firearms were recovered from his home. His conviction, like I said, many of them are misdemeanors. Began in 2001 with a reckless driving charge. 2003, open container, public disorderly. He had some arrests in 2005 in Richland County. 2010, appointing and presenting a firearm for which he received probation. An assault and battery second degree in 2011, for which he received probation. 2012, another reckless driving. 2018, pedestrian under the influence of alcohol. 2019, driving under suspension. 2019, public disorderly. And then in 2021, the 2 weapon charges that I mentioned. He was also placed under a restraining order in a civil action in 2004. Your Honor, our concern is, and the victims will address this, is he knows all of these victims intimately. They all live in the Georgetown area. The sole witness to this crime is now a 10-year-old boy. He knows this child, has known him for a long time, knows him by sight, knows the activities he's involved in, knows where he lives, knows all of his family. This child is terrified. His mother will give more information regarding that. Given his history of what appears to be an alcohol issue, his repeated contact with the law, even for misdemeanors, and the fact that he was already under a court order, already on probation at the time this occurred, we don't believe there's any conditions that you can set in a court order that would protect the public.
Has he been in custody since July 21st?
He has, Your Honor. This is his first appearance as far as bond, other than with the magistrate, who obviously couldn't set bond.
So they just waive their bonds all along?
Right, Your Honor.
Okay, this is the first you're asking for bonds for hazard. Is that correct, sir?
Well, that is correct, Your Honor. Based on the serious nature of the allegations, of course, we wanted to obtain as much discovery as possible, and unfortunately, that is something that I am not in control of. So,
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Mr. Justin, I'm happy to hear from victims at this point. We just ask them when they stand to identify themselves and any relation they have to the victims, and just to speak up so I can hear them.
Yes, Your Honor, and I have advised the victims that you are considering flight risk and danger to the community.
Absolutely.
First of all, I do have a petition that the victim's family brought regarding bond.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Ann Stewart. I am Emily Richtel's mother. This is my son Ryan, her oldest brother, her older brother. And I stand here before you today. See, I've had laryngitis all week. Just to talk a little bit about my daughter and who she was and what she accomplished. And then I want to talk about the relationship, of course. So, this is my daughter and her two children on June 24, which was less than a month before she was murdered. The one with her and her two children, we were celebrating her son's 13th birthday. And the defendant actually bought us dinner that night. The second picture of just her and her daughter, who she lovingly called her Mini Me, that was taken 2 days before she was murdered. So that's who she was, and I just wanted you to see. Emily was a survivor of addiction and shared her story openly. She wanted everyone in active addiction to see that there was a path out. She was a certified peer support specialist and working toward a degree in human services. She had attained leadership roles during her time at Oxford Recovery House. She assisted in opening the 2 Oxford houses here in Georgetown and continued to mentor those residents. She recently received a posthumous award for her dedicated service and leadership by an alumni. She worked 3 jobs, determined to support herself and her daughter, and she paid me every week. Her son is autistic and resides at Coastal Autism Academy, but that Wednesday morning she had picked him up and brought him home for a visit. Her daughter Trinity at the time was living with us. Her goals were to become the best mother she could be to her children, the best daughter, and the best sister she could be. She accomplished all those goals in a short period of time. Although she had not been in Georgetown a full year, she filled the church for her celebration of life. Many who stood and told how she helped them, even saved some lives. Many of her childhood friends came. People were drawn to her smile, her crazy laugh, sense of humor, and her overwhelming desire to help others and brighten their days with her joy of life. The defendant is a man who's been in trouble his entire life, adult life. And I feel that he's been coddled and protected, bailed out of his many arrests and subsequent charges. He's a man who's never really been allowed to suffer the consequences of any of his actions. His life has been filled with excuses made for his bad behavior, all of which has led us to this day. My daughter is dead. Ashley Altman is dead. You have 3 families that are devastated. When I was awakened around 3 a.m. the morning of July 21st by someone ringing my doorbell, I opened it to a sheriff deputy and another man who I soon found through the coroner. When told my daughter had been shot and killed, I immediately said the name of the defendant. There was no doubt in my mind. That is the moment my breath, my joy, and at times my desire to even live was. Her children were both sleeping and fortunately slept through my cries. My son had to be called by a deputy who informed him his beloved sister was dead. A call he will never get over the home. I beg you to finally make this man suffer the consequences of his actions. He's charged with premeditated murder of a woman's claim to love and a lifelong friend. He certainly has the right to a trial and judgment by his peers. But until that time comes, he does not deserve to walk free among the citizens of this state. While on probation, as has been mentioned, he had no problem getting assistance with procuring guns illegally. He possessed many. His family, although they've been babysitting him his entire life, cannot control him. Probation and parole failed us and could not protect us from him. We've already seen in this town the worst that can possibly happen when a murderer is released back into the public, and he killed again. Our judicial system has failed its citizens. Let's please not allow that to happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Christina Miller, and I am Emily's older sister. Ron didn't hurt Emily when he murdered her, but he hurt her many things. 2 weeks ago, I witnessed Trinity, Emily's beautiful 6-year-old daughter, pull her big girl panties, swallow a lump in her throat to prevent herself from crying when we sang happy birthday to her. A 6-year-old child has sing happy birthday to a mom she'll never see again. She's the reason I'm here today. I stand for her and seek justice for her because she can't speak yet. I ask that you deny bond for the monster before us. I believe that this lengthy background and the history of his family give him out consequences, that he is a danger to society. He murdered his best friend. I have no doubt he wouldn't think twice about hurting another citizen. The justice system is here to protect the innocent citizens, and I believe that would not be fulfilled by allowing him bond.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ms. Miller.
Your Honor, now we have some family members of John Ashley Altman.
Okay.
My name is Hayden Altman. I'm John Ashley Altman's daughter. And I'm not going to run to the bond because if he did hurt his own friend in a way like that, then in kids that he's grown up with, then there's no doubt in my mind he wouldn't do it to anyone else, even including his own family. And he's hurt so many people in so many different ways. And my brother is traumatized from it. And he had to walk out and see my father on the ground. And Emily. Ashley, how old are you? 13. I appreciate it.
Speaking on behalf of your dad, I'm sure he'd be really proud of you.
Her name's Haley.
Oh, Haley, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, my name's Stacy Cable, and I'm the mother of Hayden Altman and John Altman. My son who was there, he's terrified. If he gets out, I'm finally getting him where he can play ball and do things, and he's terrified. No 9-year-old at the time, a 10-year-old should be terrified to lay their head down at night. He knows my children very well, he knows where we live at, he's been in my home many times, and all I ask is you give them on.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just for the record, Ashley Altman's mother and older daughter are also present, but do not wish to speak at this time. And they're also requesting the bond be denied.
Is that everything?
That is your own. Deputy Solicitor.
Very briefly, as of special concern, some of the concerns that the investigators discovered during the course of this were repeated public messages, Facebook posting of his, from this defendant, which we would present at trial, of his intention to kill these two on a run-up time period before he actually happened. So when Deputy Solicitor Richardson was mentioning a couple of the threats, those are threats that I'm going to kill these people. That is a prima facie definition of premeditated murder, and that's exactly why Your Honor has discretion to deny bonds in cases like this. This is the type of case that the legislature envisioned when it gave Your Honor discretion to deny bond, and we ask that Your Honor deny bond in this case.
Mr. Hazard. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court.
Yes, sir.
With us here today, besides Ronnie Todd Jr., who's his father, Ronnie Todd Sr., his employer, John Cooper, for whom he's worked for 10 years. But let me back up. The state says that on the late night, early morning, July 21st, 2022, that Ronnie Todd went over to John Ashley Altman's house, a man who had a boat that was kept on Ronnie Todd's property. He was helping Mr. Altman to restore that boat. Ms. Richatelli, a woman who he was very fond of, and that he killed him. They say that he went through the sliding glass door. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. I don't believe anyone from the state was there. What I do know in the limited amount of discovery that I've received so far is that his fingerprints are found nowhere on that sliding glass door based on the one SLED laboratory result that I received. Because what we've got going on here is DNA fingerprints and GSR were submitted to SLED on November 16th of 2022. Why it took those 4 months, I'm not sure from the date of incident. We finally received a fingerprint report dated March 23rd of 2023. As I read it, it says, shows no fingerprints related to Ronnie Todd Jr. Now, we haven't received any of the SLED results as of this time. I do not know how long that is going to take. At this point, he has been incarcerated for 10 months. It is very, very possible he might be incarcerated on an offense for which he is deemed innocent for another year or year and a half. You see, that's one of the reasons why the state is handling the matter in the way they are with regard to the prosecution team, and that is very understandable. So we're looking at the very real possibility this man can sit in jail for 2.5 to 3 years before he goes to trial. The state also points to the fact that Mr. Altman's son said that, well, it was Ronnie Todd who did this, I recognize his voice. Well, they took the young man to the Children's Advocacy Center, and he gave an interview, and part of what his interview says verbatim is, they claim that the young man stated, well, his quote, well, his name, we're going to call him Ron Todd. When asked how he knows this is his name, the young man states, I knew it was right off the bat because he's been planning it for weeks. When asked how he knows that Ron has been planning it for weeks, he stated after his dad was shot and didn't make it, someone told them that someone else, I won't say the name in open court, someone told someone else, now we're talking double hearsay, said Ron had been saying that he was going to do this. So I don't know how much of an identification that actually is. There's no question that Ronnie Todd knows that young man, just like he knew his father. He's known the young man since he was 5 or 6 years old. He had nothing but the best of intentions towards Mr. Altman and toward his family. Now, if he said some things when he was upset at the end of a relationship, sure, that is definitely possible. The state says that he allegedly made some statements. I, at this point, have not received any recordings of any statements that are inculpatory in nature. I asked my client, he says, yes, I never said that. They say that he said, yes, I threw a gun out and this is where I threw it out. Amazingly enough, though, the state says, well, we can't find it. The area they're talking about, it's not a swamp, it's not a marsh, it's just really flat ground that's grown up. So yes, if a gun was there and if he had said that and he threw a gun there, they'd be able to find it. So from what I know, what I see does not fit the narrative that the state has. And I appreciate for going into that because again, obviously this is not the time for the trial of the case. This is time for the court to make a determination of whether Mr. Todd is a threat to the community and a threat to flee the jurisdiction pending the trial of this case. He is 43 years old, Your Honor. Georgetown County is the only place he has ever lived. All of his family is here. His mother is here. His father is here. His twin sister, his other sister, his brother, all of his siblings live here. And this is the only place they ever lived. He has always been gainfully employed. Since he was about 15 or 16 years old. He worked in international paper for 6 years, basically coming out of high school. Because he attended Kensington Elementary School, J.B. Batten Middle School, and he's a 1998 graduate of Georgetown High School. After he left high school, he went to work at international paper, worked there for 6 years until the mill had to stop. He then began shrimping for various captains. Did that until he could get on with Georgetown Steel. And as the court knows of this area, these businesses have had their problems with regard to staying up and running. So he works for Georgetown Steel for 5 or 6 years until he got laid off there. Then worked for the City of Georgetown Water Department. And for the last 10 years, he has worked for Jimmy Cooper Construction, doing home construction and remodeling. Mr. Cooper is here saying despite the fact that Mr. Todd has been incarcerated now for going on a year, he's here to let the court know that he will take this man back to work tomorrow. That's the kind of worker that we're talking about now. As I said, his father, Ronnie Todd Sr. is here. He wishes to address the court as a letter. He wishes to read on his son's behalf. We respectfully request that the court provide the legal outcome to do so. Our position is, the state has said, they want to talk about his convictions. Most of them are very, very old. 2018 of pedestrian public disorder, 2019 DUS, 2020 DUS, and the gun charge for which he is on probation. He is not a threat to community, he is not a threat to flee this jurisdiction. We ask the court to set an appropriate bond. We are aware that that bond, if granted, will be significant. We are aware of it. And because I am representing them, these folks are folks of meager means. So if the court sets a bond, which again we expect will be significant, there's a very real possibility he will not make that bond anyway. However, I submit he has the right to a bond under our system of laws. We've got a long way to go in this case now, and it is very difficult to think of someone presumption of innocence but detained for probably the better part of 3 years, waiting to go forward on this case. Ronnie has one child, and that's his son Christopher. He's 24 years old. He's in the U.S. Navy. His father is a retired accountant from Georgetown Hospital. His mother, Teresa, has worked many, many years for the City of Georgetown. That's who he spoke of. If the court deems a bond, a high bond appropriate, we would ask that the conditions include house arrest, that they include electronic monitoring, and that, and this is something his father asked for, state says he has a problem with alcohol. I think his record is very clear that he does. His father said, we would love it if there was an alcohol monitor placed on him as well. So we asked that as well for the courts to consider. So, at the appropriate time, we must.
I'm happy to hear from Mr. Todd Senior at this time. Yes, sir.
This is a sister, so I'm here on behalf of Mr. Thomas.
All right.
Please state the full name, spelling, last name, please.
My name is Alicia O'Donnell, ODO, I'm reading this on behalf of Ron's parents. We, Ronnie L. Todd Sr. and Teresa M. Todd, are the parents of Ronnie L. Todd Jr., known as Ron to us, other family members, and friends. Ron is our only son, one of 2 children. Ron is a twin sister to a sister named April, a father to a son named Chris, who is in the U.S. Navy, uncle to a niece, and loved by many other children who lovingly call him Uncle Ron. Ron comes from a loving home with parents who have been married for 44 years this June. Our family is lifelong residents of this community. He grew up in the Kensington area of Georgetown, attended Kensington Elementary School, Georgetown Middle School, and graduated from Georgetown High School. He was always a smart child, was a great student, always made the AP honor roll in the principal's award, and excelled at anything he set out to do. Whether that task be build a house, deck, working on a car, or replacing a toilet, he's always done things to the very best of his ability. Ron has always stood up for the underdog, supported his community, and helped those less fortunate who were in need financially due to loss of job, illness, or hardship. He helped with a fundraiser for a friend who had a massive stroke and was in critical care for an extended time and was unable to work. He gathered donations for auctions and enlisted me to help with cooking cakes and making wreaths as raffle items. He donated much of his own money and enlisted me to bake cakes to be sold, and we volunteered at fundraisers to help financially for a young man, his lifelong friend, Dustin, that passed away from cancer and left a wife and 2 young children behind. He has helped all of his friends and family at one time or another work on their vehicles, 4-wheelers, repair their homes, toilets or repair, whatever they needed repairing. He risked his own life several years ago to save a young lady who had been in a car accident from drowning in a flooded ditch. He could not lift the vehicle or get her out of it, but he stayed with her and held her head above the water, the flood water, to keep her from drowning until emergency personnel arrived and could get her out of the vehicle. Ron has a good heart, always wanting to give to someone or help someone, and a lot of time recruiting his family and friends to help also if needed. Our family is made up of givers, not takers. We try to help our community, support our friends and neighbors, and give back to others less fortunate or that are in unfortunate circumstances. Our son has a family and many friends who love, support, and believe in him. His family is here in whatever way necessary, and we appreciate your consideration on his behalf. Sincerely, Ronnie L. Todd Sr. and Teresa Todd.
Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Hauser?
Nothing further to mention on the technical reports.
Thank you, sir. I find in this case the defendant is a danger to the community, he is a flight risk, he is charged with murdering 2 persons and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, as well as unlawful possession of a firearm of a person that's not supposed to. I'm going to deny his bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
We can have a break just for a moment, please.
Sure, we'll take 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll clear.